It's 2 a.m. and I'm up finishing up my sourdough bread because you're supposed to, after letting it rise for 7 to 10 hours, mix it in with some flour and then do this whole thing where they give it its shape. Then you let it sit for another hour or two, and then you bake it for half an hour, the first round with it covered, and then the second round without it covered. I came home at 7, I did that, and so I was like, okay, well, it's curing. I'm going to lay down and do my yoga nidra practice, get up and bake it. Well, the yoga nidra was so good that I slept for 4.5 hours. So I woke up at 12, and I was like, shit. I looked at my sourdough bread, and I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll just put it in and bake it now. I baked it for half an hour, one covered and one not covered. This time it's a lot bigger. It's like double the size of like when I did it the first time because it sat for too long. That's okay. It actually tastes really good still. However, it's more sour now than before. So my lesson is, yeah, the longer I wait to have it rise, the more sour it's going to be. And also, if I use a cast iron pot, it is beautiful. And if I don't, and I don't have it covered, this is really dry and hard to cut through and eat. So this is probably going to be cut off. But the bottom is delicious and quite soft. So I also discovered something else about me that's a pattern in my life, is that I like to experiment and do things fast and have the flair before I actually learn the basics. I've only done sourdough bread once, and this is my second time. And yet this time I was like, no, I'm gonna experiment with flavors. So this one here is rose almond, and then this one is rosemary dates. And it's okay. I think I'm just having higher expectations. So it's a learning lesson. But instead of just doing one, I was like, I'm gonna do 2 because I might as well take them out at the same time. I almost did 4. I was like, Twee, you don't have enough pots. Yeah, always strategizing how I can batch things and multiply it. I don't know if you're like this. Maybe it's an overachiever thing. It's definitely my wood element. Yeah. Now I realize that this is a pattern in my life because this is how I like to do a lot of things. Like for instance, salsa dancing. I love to salsa dance. And I had to break myself down several times where I had to relearn the basics because I like to do the styling and the flair and go fast and like make it fancy before I learn the basics. And there's nothing with learning the basics, but I thought that was boring. And from the outside, a lot of people would probably think I'm pretty good at it. However, the really professional ones know that I'm sloppy. I'm sloppy with it. And they know where I didn't do it right. And that's okay because dancing is should be just rhythm, right? So there's 2 parts to dancing. One is that, then the other, if you want to go more professional, then yeah, you've got to really master the basics. And then when I was learning sword with qigong, the same thing. I wanted to do the fast flary things. And this reminds me also of the movie The Karate Kid 2, the one with like little Jaden, and how Jackie Chan makes him do the same thing, and he's like, why don't you like this? And he just has him like taking off this like towel, dropping it on the floor, picking it back up. I'm getting off on a tangent. It's the Taoist in me. But my qigong teacher, Master Clark, was like, Twee, you've got to learn how to print first in the basics of the alphabet and print first before you can do the cursive. You just want to do the cursive and the signature. You've got to learn how to print first. It's actually very clear, and once you learn how to print first, your cursive will be better. I didn't want to hear that, but he's right. And as I get older now with age, I understand the depth and the art of slowing down and the foundation and mastering it. Just like pho. Pho is a Vietnamese noodle bowl, and it is phenomenal. Now, there's several ways to make pho. You can do the bouillon, or you can simmer the bones. And when you simmer the bones and the oxtail and all that, the flavor and the depth is not replaceable. It's not the same. It's just like wisdom. The saltiness is the wisdom, and the depth and only can be done over time. Thank you, Instapot, though, for making things faster nowadays. But still, it is that whole time and tradition aspect that you have to master. I'm learning that, and I'm sitting with it. Yeah, and so it's another lesson for me to set foundations and to learn it and master that. And this also reminds me of the story of Kobe Bryant, where, and I heard this from Jasmine Starr, who I'm in a membership with, and it was in her coaching session. And she says that there was this man that wanted to watch Kobe in his practice. So he came with him every day. And Kobe practices like 2 or 3 times a day, where he just goes and he just dribbles and shoots. And it's like the most boring thing. And the man was like, it's not what I expected. He said, well, Kobe says, well, what did you expect? And then it's like, yeah, just doing more things, went back and forth. But it was just like slow and back and forth, and where, and practicing the shooting. And he's like, yeah, if I don't master the basics, how could I master anything else? I'm gonna work on mastering the basics. I'm gonna learn more and experiment more with making sourdough bread, and just slowing myself down and allowing myself to do that and just mastering it. So slow down. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Slow remembers, fast forgets. Stillness remembers. Hurry forgets. Surrender remembers. Fear forgets.